Support for the Leadoff on WGLT and WGLT.org comes from the Central Illinois Regional Airport, where travelers are one stop away from world destinations. Connections on American Airlines to Chicago or to Dallas-Fort Worth are available daily. Close, convenient, CIRA. More at CIRA.com.
McLean County's largest school district, Unit 5, is seeing more students who lack permanent housing. It's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Tuesday, August 27th. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with some scorching weather in central Illinois. WGLT's Melissa Ellen has more.
There's an excessive heat warning in effect through tonight, with the worst of it this afternoon. National Weather Service meteorologist Ed Shimon says temperatures could feel as high as 115 degrees. The culprit is the dew point, or the amount of moisture in the air. Right now, Shimon says dew points are in the 60s.
Which is generally in the uncomfortable range, and then once you get dew points into the 70s, then it starts to create a situation where, the air, once it gets into air temperature in the 90s and dew points in the 70s, can combine to put heat indices over 100 degrees.
When we spoke to Shimon yesterday, he said the extreme weather was the result of a, quote, heat dome moving in from the deserts of the southwest.
So like today we have the heat, but not as much of the moisture in the air, and then tomorrow the moisture is going to arrive as southerly winds bring that in.
Shimon recommends staying out of the heat as much as you can today, but if you have to go outside, stay hydrated, wear light-colored clothing, and take frequent breaks. Schools are changing plans due to the heat as well. Unit 5 has canceled some outdoor athletics events and practices, and Illinois State University is moving its huge student involvement fair called Festival ISU indoors today and tomorrow. A smidge of relief may be coming, with scattered storms possible tonight and again on Wednesday, and a few of these could be strong to severe. For the Leadoff, I'm Melissa Ellen.
Here's some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. Lawyers working for Burton McNeil have filed an appeal in the 4th District Appellate Court seeking to reverse a February trial court ruling that denied his request for a new trial. He has long claimed that it was his ex-girlfriend, not him, who killed his 3-year-old daughter in Bloomington back in 1998. Mike Straza, who ran for Bloomington mayor 3 years ago, now plans to run for city council next spring. A new law affecting how candidates can get on the ballot in Illinois will not affect anyone running for office this year. Republicans challenged that law, and the Illinois Supreme Court last week agreed and blocked the law only for the rest of this year. You can find more in these stories at WGLT.org. McLean County's largest school district is not getting any bigger this year, but enrollment among its homeless population has increased measurably this year. Unit 5 Superintendent Kristen Weichel tells WGLT's Eric Stock the district's overall headcount is stable at about 12,300, but a growing number of those children lack permanent housing.
It's fair to say we have anywhere from like a 7 to 10% increase. We are seeing more students who qualify for McKinney-Vento or our homeless services that are requiring transportation. And I think a misconception when people think of homeless, they think of maybe a family living on the street, when really homeless as defined by school code is a family who's maybe doubling up or staying with other family or friends. They don't have permanent housing for their family. It's a temporary in nature.
And what capacity does the district have to make sure that these kids, an increasing number this year, are getting the education and the services they need?
Sure. So we try to work with the families to remove barriers that would prevent them from getting to school and, maximizing their time with their teachers or any supports that they need. So in some cases, that might be providing transportation, helping the family, get their physicals, immunizations, anything that would prevent them from being in school on a regular basis. That's what we're working to remove the barrier for.
As we continue with Kristen Weichel, the superintendent of Unit 5 Schools, the district is looking at a $225 million budget for this year, about a 3% increase. The first year that the higher education rate is implemented after the referendum. Is the district on a sustainable financial path now?
The education fund is going to look more promising from here on out. We're always vigilant in looking at expenses, looking for opportunities to bring in more grant dollars. So as you said, this May and June will be the first time that we'll receive any of the increase in education tax rate as a result of the referendum. Throughout the referendum, I did mention that the education fund was, struggling, and we've remedied that. But I also mentioned our operations and maintenance fund was running very tight, and that our transportation fund was either very tight or running in a deficit. And that particular fund is really as a result of the state not funding at the level that they've indicated that they should or would.
The Unified School Board last month raised the idea of implementing a cell phone ban in classrooms. So what data will the district be looking at to decide how to handle that?
Sure. So we'll be looking first to evidence of, the pros and cons of either banning or limiting cell phone, either on students or access to. There are many reasons why a student might want a cell phone on them, or why a family might want a cell phone on a student. I don't think there's too many of us that would say, I fully recognize cell phones can be a distraction for students. It can be a distraction for adults too. So we'll be looking at articles and evidence, but we're also going to be seeking input and feedback from our students, our staff, and our families to learn what really are the things that they're most concerned about, whether we keep our practice the same or, move to something maybe more restrictive.
Have teachers indicated that phones have been disruptive in their classrooms, or the use of those phones?
I would say many teachers probably would say, yes, cell phones can be a distraction. Some teachers might be a little more lax and say, yes, if you finish your work early, you can have it out. Well, that makes it harder than maybe for the next teacher who says, no, it needs to be put away the entire class period.
That was Unit 5 Superintendent Kristen Weichel speaking with WGLT's Eric Stock. You can read or listen to the rest of their conversation at WGLT.org. Before we let you go, the Connect Transit Board meets this afternoon at 4:30 at the system's Wiley Drive location. On the agenda is a system performance update. And that's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show was produced by Rosalie Truback. You can subscribe to the Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you listen.